When people hear family business, they imagine something warm. Handshakes over breakfast. Generational secrets passed down with recipes and sawdust. Maybe matching polos. They don't picture board meetings where your mom calls you a liability, or your older brother threatens to streamline you out of relevance. But welcome to my life. The company was called Hollander and Sons, because apparently women didn't exist when Grandpa printed the original signage in 1973. It started as a hardware store in a Midwest town so small we still don't have Uber. By the time I was born, it had grown into a small regional empire. 7 stores, warehouse, online inventory, even a jingle. Dad ran it like a mission. Respect your staff. Keep your word. Don't cheap out on duct tape, it always comes back to haunt you. When he died unexpectedly 6 years ago, the business passed down to Mom, my brother Nathan, and me. We each got a piece of it. Nathan got the title, CEO. I got the spreadsheets. And Mom? She got the power. I never minded not being the face of things. I wasn't flashy like Nathan. He could sell lawnmowers to people in apartments. I was the one behind the curtain, ops, finance, logistics. I knew the system better than anyone. While Nathan filmed YouTube ads and ran team-building paintball retreats, I ran the numbers, cleaned up his budget messes, and kept the warehouses from collapsing into chaos. They used to call me the quiet engine. Until the day they decided to cut the engine entirely. It started small. They stopped CCing me on planning emails. Suddenly meetings were just a quick huddle. I wasn't invited to. I brought it up once, just once, and Mom said, "Eli, not everything needs your input." That was funny. Considering I'd built the inventory system they still used. I stayed quiet. Thought I was being paranoid. Then last month, it happened. I was at home, eating leftover stir-fry and reviewing shipping logs when my phone buzzed. A voicemail. From Mom. I hit play. "Eli. We've made a decision. You're no longer going to be involved in the company's leadership. Please expect a call from our lawyer to begin the paperwork. This isn't personal, it's just business. I hope you understand." There was a long pause. Like maybe she regretted how cold it sounded. Then the voicemail ended. "No. Love you? No. We'll talk." Just a corporate termination in 14 seconds or less. I stared at the screen for a while. Then I texted her one word. Understood. Not because I agreed. But because I didn't need to argue. They thought I was just another passive shareholder. What they forgot was that my 27% stake wasn't dead weight. It was a lever. And I was done waiting to pull it. If you'd asked me 5 years ago where I saw myself at 35, I would have said, still running the numbers, probably with a little less hair and a little more respect. I wasn't dreaming big. Just fair. The truth is, when Dad died, the business broke in ways none of us wanted to admit. He'd been the anchor. The referee. The buffer between Mom's laser focus and Nathan's chaos energy. Without him, it became a tug of war. And no one ever pulled me. Nathan was the heir apparent. The leader. Even though his main skill was delivering confident answers to questions no one asked. He used to say things like, "We need to modernize," right before dropping $12,000 on a drone that got stuck in a tree outside our Mankato location. Mom never stopped him. She loved calling him visionary. She called me dependable. You know, the kind of compliment they give printers and ceiling tiles. But here's the thing, I didn't resent it at first. I figured, let Nathan wave the flag. Let Mom manage the staff Christmas party budget like it was the Pentagon. I was content building the parts no one saw, the stuff that actually worked. I automated our supplier orders. Cut waste by 14%. Negotiated a contract with a regional shipping partner that saved us nearly $200,000 in a single year. Nathan called it wizard stuff, and then forgot to invite me to the quarterly shareholders meeting. Twice. The moment it started to shift was a year ago. Nathan announced we were going lean. A phrase he clearly read in one LinkedIn post and decided meant fire people and look like a genius. He slashed warehouse hours. Removed part-time positions. He reorganized, my department by giving half my work to an intern named Brenna who once asked if spreadsheets could get viruses. I pushed back. Mom called me dramatic. "You're resisting progress," she said. "Nathan's trying to grow the brand. You're clinging to a version of the company that only works on paper." "Mom," I said, "it literally works because of paper. That's how inventory tracking happens." She didn't laugh. Then came the software fiasco. Nathan greenlit a flashy new inventory system, sold to us by a guy in a blazer with no shirt under it. It cost more than our entire annual marketing budget. I warned them. It was incompatible with our database, poorly reviewed, and probably coded by feral interns in a startup sweatshop. They installed it anyway. Within 2 weeks, 2 locations oversold lawnmowers we didn't have. One warehouse shipped 37 snowblowers to a customer in Florida. Our return system crashed for 10 days. I fixed it. Quietly. "No, thank you?" "No. You were right. Just another skipped meeting and a memo about streamlining leadership roles." So yeah, when I got that voicemail, it didn't feel sudden. It felt like watching someone push you toward the door for a year and finally just shove. But what they didn't know, I'd seen this coming. 6 months earlier, an old friend of Dad's, a guy named Carl who ran a supply chain firm out of Milwaukee, took me to lunch and said, "If you ever want out, let me know. There are people who'd pay to have a slice of Hollander and Sons." I laughed at the time. Told him I wasn't going anywhere. But now, my family had made the decision for me. And I still had that number. I scrolled through my contacts, found Carl, escape plan, and hit dial. It rang once before I heard his voice. Well, he said. "Tell me you're ready." I took a breath. "Yeah," I said. "Let's talk numbers." Because they may have pushed me out of the building. But I still had the keys to the side door. Carl didn't waste time. He sent over a rough proposal the next morning. Nothing flashy, just a 5-line email with a very big number and one question. "Still interested?" I stared at it while chewing a piece of burnt toast. My stomach flipped like I'd just leaned back in a chair too far. This wasn't just a sale. This was the kind of move that changed things forever, for them, and for me. My 27% stake wasn't majority, but it wasn't pocket change either. It came with voting rights, board influence, veto power over certain decisions. I'd held onto it like a safety net, even as they yanked everything else away. Now, it was a loaded weapon with my name engraved on the handle. Carl's firm, Lasker Group, was discreet but aggressive. They didn't just buy shares. They bought leverage, influence, foot in the door. And if they acquired mine, they'd have enough control to stall decisions, redirect funds, call emergency board meetings. It was like selling your piece of the chessboard to someone who actually knew how to play. I emailed Carl back 2 words. "Let's meet." We signed an NDA over tacos. Classic Carl. Then I laid everything out, my rights, my responsibilities, the fine print in the shareholder agreement that most people in my family had probably never even read. Carl whistled when he saw my documentation. "You were prepared," he said. "No," I replied. I was ignored. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Lawyers. Paperwork. A forensic review of our company's books, which Carl's team conducted with the gleeful energy of kids solving a mystery. I kept everything quiet. Still showed up to the quarterly call. Still submitted my optional reports, just to keep up appearances. Then, on a Thursday morning at 8:37 a.m., it was done. Wire transferred. Legal signed. Sealed and filed. I no longer owned a single share of Hollander and Sons. But Carl did. And that meant Nathan and Mom no longer had full control. By 10:15 a.m., the board had been notified. By 11 a.m., my phone lit up. First it was a text from Nathan. "What the hell did you do?" Then a call. I ignored it. Then another from Mom. Then a voicemail. "Eli, honey, can we talk? I think there's been a misunderstanding." Ah, yes. That old song. The Misunderstanding Waltz. I took Bruno, my dog, my emotional support brick, on a walk while the notifications stacked up like angry little soldiers. Missed calls. Panic texts. A LinkedIn message from our CFO that simply read, "Please call me. It's getting complicated." By 2 p.m., Carl called me. "Wow," he said. "You didn't tell me your brother swears like that." I snorted. "Did he threaten you yet?" "Twice. Said we were hijacking his legacy." "His legacy?" I laughed. "He installed a vending machine with Monster Energy drinks in the front office and forgot to pay the supplier." Carl chuckled. "You know, for someone who just walked away from their family's business, you sound pretty good." I looked out at the lake near my apartment. The water was calm. Still. "Mine. I've never felt better," I said. That night, I had dinner alone for the first time in weeks. No spreadsheets. No emergency emails. Just me, a plate of takeout, and a sense of freedom so complete it felt like a second skin. They'd thrown me out like I was disposable. But I walked away holding the trigger. And now they were the ones begging to rewind. The next morning, I woke up to an email with the subject line, "Urgent, request for meeting, family only." It was from Nathan. Sent at 2:17 a.m. Which meant he either hadn't slept, or had just rage-watched Succession and decided to cosplay Kendall Roy. The body of the email was short. "We need to talk. All of us. Please come to Mom's this evening. 6:30. Nathan." "No." "Hey." "No. Hope you're well." Just full corporate panic mode, which I found hilarious given that they booted me from the business like I was the soggy fries in their executive combo meal. I didn't reply. Instead, I made pancakes. Took my time. Gave Bruno a bath. Watched an entire documentary about emotionally intelligent octopuses. Basically, I had a full healing arc before noon. Then, at 6:20 p.m., I drove to Mom's house. I wore the most neutral thing I owned, plain navy sweater, jeans, no watch. Not power play formal. Not too casual. Just enough to say, I'm not here to impress anyone. But I'm not here to lose either. When I walked in, Nathan was pacing the living room like a sitcom dad about to deliver a life lesson. Mom sat on the couch, arms crossed, wearing that expression she used to reserve for store clerks who took too long with the receipt. "Claire," she said. "We're glad you came." "It's Eli," I said. "Claire's our cousin." She blinked. Nathan muttered, "Jesus, Mom." "Right," she said quickly. This whole thing has been very stressful." "Not for me," I said, sitting down. "I've actually slept great." Nathan stopped pacing. "You sold your shares to a competitor." "Not a competitor," I corrected. "An investor. You should really read Carl's proposal. His group plans to grow the business responsibly." Mom jumped in. "To us, it feels like betrayal." "And to me," I said. Getting fired over voicemail felt like betrayal. But I kept it classy. They both winced at that. Nathan tried again. "Look, we didn't want to cut you out completely. We just needed more agility. You were slowing things down. Always raising red flags. Red flags like, don't install broken inventory software? Or don't lay off half the warehouse staff in Q4? That's not the point," he snapped. "It's exactly the point," I said. "You wanted to make risky plays. I wanted to protect Dad's company. You wanted control. I had control. So you pushed me out." Mom leaned in. "We thought you'd come back. That we could work it out." Quietly. "You didn't think I'd leave." Silence. "You thought I'd do what I always do," I continued. "Eat the disrespect. Keep the peace. Show up anyway." They didn't answer. "And you were half right. I did show up. Just not the way you expected." Nathan looked like he was chewing glass. "Okay," he said finally. "We get it. You proved your point. Now what? What do you want?" That made me laugh. "I don't want anything from you," I said. "I'm not here to reverse the sale. I'm not here to be bought off. I'm just here to say, you made your decision. I made mine. So that's it," Mom said, voice cracking. "You're just done with us. I'm done being a background character in my own legacy." I stood. Enjoy the business. What's left of it? As I walked out, Nathan called after me. You think Carl gives a damn about Dad's values? I paused in the doorway. I think Carl's not my brother, I said. And right now, that's working in his favor. Then I shut the door behind me. And this time, no one followed. You know you've made the right move when people stop pretending they're not angry. The morning after I sold my shares, I woke up to a phone vibrating off my nightstand. 17 missed calls. 5 voicemails. My inbox looked like a corporate emergency room. Not just from Nathan. No, that would have made too much sense. This was a full-on family pressure campaign. Cousin Amy from HR. Hey Eli, I think we all just need to get on a call, like today. Mark the CFO. There's concern over the long-term ramifications of this shift. Uncle Ron, who hadn't spoken to me since he borrowed my truck and returned it with a missing hubcap. Call me. This is bigger than you. And of course, Mom. Eli. Please don't let this become permanent. We're still a family. Let's meet. Soon. Please. I let them sit unread. Then Carl texted me. Carl. Your brother tried to void the deal with a retroactive clause he literally Googled in real time. I actually laughed out loud. Scared Bruno, who was peacefully licking peanut butter off a spoon. According to Carl, Nathan had stormed into the emergency board meeting that morning claiming the sale was done in bad faith, and tried to invoke a rarely used clause that required family board consensus for strategic divestment. The problem? That clause was removed in 2019. By Nathan. In an email that started with, "Let's reduce red tape and get agile." It was like watching someone get hoisted by their own LinkedIn post. The board didn't buy it. 2 members abstained. 1 laughed. Janice again. Queen of bourbon-fueled boardroom drama. I poured a second cup of coffee. Sat back. Watched the fire spread, metaphorically. Then possibly literally, since I got another ping from Carl that said, Nathan is now threatening to sue you for malicious intent. I think he just threw a pen. At around 2 p.m., a very long email from Nathan hit my inbox. Subject: Moving forward as a family, a proposal for reintegration. The body was 1,600 words of nothing. Corporate apology meets gaslighty plea meets. Let's not let emotions cloud our legacy. It included words like reconciliation strategy, shared vision, and my personal favorite, we should recalibrate expectations with compassion. I didn't respond. I filed it in a folder I labeled Audacity, Exhibit Archive. That night, I went for a walk. Crisp air, soft wind, that electric feeling of spring before summer where the world feels a little too quiet, like it's waiting for something. And sure enough, something was waiting. Nathan. He was leaning against the railing outside my building, hoodie half-zipped, khakis wrinkled, jaw clenched so tight he looked like he was trying to crush regret into a diamond. You blocked me, he said. You fired me, I replied. Yours was just more expensive. I didn't mean for it to go like this. You never do. He looked down. You were never supposed to actually go through with it. Selling your stake like that? That's nuclear. No, Nathan. Voicemail firing your brother is nuclear. What I did was clean. He winced. We were under pressure. You were slowing things down. I shrugged. Maybe. But I was the only one keeping it steady. He stepped forward. Look, I know I messed up. We messed up. You've been holding this place together longer than anyone knew. But we can fix it. I raised an eyebrow. We? He hesitated. I mean you. You can fix it. Come back. Take your seat back. No. What do you mean, no? I mean no, Nathan. You can't fire someone, gut their legacy, and then ask for a do-over when it bites you in the ass. He looked stunned. I don't know how to fix this, he said, voice small. Then don't. He blinked. Don't? You don't get to fix this. You get to live with it. Like I lived with your disrespect for 6 years. Like I lived with being the one who cleaned up after your visions. Like I lived with pretending I was lucky to be included. He didn't answer. And for the first time since I sold, I felt it, not just peace, but pride. I walked past him, up the steps, into my building. Didn't look back. The fallout came fast, and petty. 3 days after Nathan cornered me outside my building, I got a letter in the mail. Yes. A literal letter. Unofficial Hollander and Sons stationery. Like it was 1982 and they were breaking up with me via fax machine. It was a cease and desist. Allegedly for misrepresentation of shareholder intent and violation of internal culture code. Carl scanned it, laughed, and replied with a single line. Your internal culture code has no legal jurisdiction. Also, LOL. That's when I knew Nathan was spiraling. They'd lost their buffer. And more importantly, they'd lost their control. The emails slowed. The calls stopped. I imagined them sitting in that boardroom, trying to pretend everything was fine while slowly realizing they were steering a ship built out of spite and denial. Meanwhile, I was thriving. I slept in. Ate pancakes at 11. Started taking long walks with Bruno without checking my email every 7 minutes. I even started drafting a business plan, nothing concrete yet, just an idea for a consulting firm that helped family businesses not implode like ours did. Then, out of nowhere, Mom called. Not a voicemail. Not a text. A real call. I let it go to voicemail. She left one anyway. Eli, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Truly. I think I let things get away from me. I thought I was protecting the business, and Nathan, and I guess I forgot you needed protecting too. I should have listened. I should have valued you more. I hope it's not too late. I listened to it twice. Once for the words. Once for the tone. It sounded real. But here's the thing about apologies. They can be sincere and still too late. Damage doesn't reverse just because someone regrets it. Later that week, I ran into Mark, our longtime CFO, at a community fundraiser. He was holding a plastic cup of lemonade and looking 10 years older than I remembered. I don't blame you, you know, he said. We all saw it coming. Just didn't expect you to be the one to pull the lever. Neither did they, I said. He nodded, then leaned in. Nathan's trying to raise capital. Quietly. They're short-staffed. Carl's people aren't budging on the board votes. Not my problem, I replied. Mark gave me a half-smile. Still, you should know. People are starting to talk. Not just about what they lost. About what you could have built if they'd let you. That stuck with me. Because for so long, I'd been framed as the one who didn't want more. The back-office guy. The invisible son. But now people were asking, what if we'd listened? What if we hadn't underestimated him? It wasn't ego. It was validation. A different kind of currency. One they couldn't erase. That night, I took Bruno to the lake. We sat on the old dock where Dad used to bring us to skip stones and talk shop. I remembered how he'd say, "Don't build something just to be seen. Build it to last." And I realized, that's what I'd done. Not the company. The boundary. It was solid. Clean. Unshakable. Nathan and Mom could flail all they wanted. Try to patch holes in the boat. Send letters and offers and belated apologies. But I wasn't in the boat anymore. I was on the shore. Dry. Safe. Watching it drift farther away. I didn't hear from Nathan for 2 weeks. Not a call. Not a text. Not a desperate 1 a.m. Hey man. Email with a bullet point list and some recycled Synergy buzzwords. I figured he was either finally getting the message, or plotting something stupid and dramatic. Spoiler, it was the second one. One Thursday afternoon, I walked into my building and found him sitting on the lobby bench like a man waiting to be judged by St. Peter himself. He was wearing a dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up and a look like he hadn't slept in 3 days. He stood when he saw me. Nervous. But trying to look confident. Can we talk? I'm assuming you didn't drive across town to compliment my mailroom. He gave a half smile. Upstairs? No. Right here's fine. He nodded and took a breath. Okay. I'm not here to fight. I'm not even here to beg. I just want to say something. One thing. I crossed my arms. You've got 2 minutes. He didn't even flinch. He just launched right in. I messed up, he he said. Not just this past month. Not just firing you. All of it. I've been treating this business like a trophy. Like if I could shine it enough, Dad would. I don't know. Be proud. That hit a nerve. And I thought if I was loud enough, bold enough, people would follow me. That you would follow me. Because you always did. I didn't follow, I said. I just stopped resisting. Nathan nodded. You were right. About the software. About the layoffs. About Carl. Hell, about Janice. She told me to my face, Eli would have never let this happen. Janice is a real one, I muttered. He laughed. Then rubbed his face, suddenly looking way older than 38. The board won't listen to me anymore, he said. Carl's got them. And he won't budge unless you tell him to. And you think I'm just going to, what? Walk back into the fire to save the people who burned me? He looked me in the eye. No. I'm just asking if you'll talk to me. Not as a partner. Or a board member. As your brother. That's dumb. Because I wanted to believe that mattered again. But I remembered how he looked when he told me I was too rigid for modern business. I remembered how Mom signed that lawyer letter with a smiley face. I remembered how quickly I became inconvenient when I stopped being quiet. I'm not coming back, Nathan, I said. I'm not asking you to. You kind of are. He paused. I'm asking if we can stop being enemies. I didn't respond right away. I looked out the window. The sun was setting across the street, painting everything in that weird, temporary gold that makes everything look softer than it is. Then I said, You know what I want? He perked up slightly. What? I want to go 1 full year without being treated like a contingency plan. I want to have a conversation where I'm not a chess piece. I want to be seen as something other than a resource. Nathan swallowed. Hard. I want to heal, I said. And I can't do that from inside your mess. He nodded, slowly. Like it hurt. I get that. He offered his hand. I didn't shake it. Instead, I said, I hope you figure it out. Then I turned and walked upstairs. And this time, the guilt wasn't mine to carry. 3 months later, I got a postcard from Nathan. Not an email. Not a certified letter. A real, handwritten postcard, blue ink slightly smudged, postmarked from Arizona. Front, a photo of the Grand Canyon. Back 4 words. Still figuring it out. N. No apology. No ask. Just acknowledgement. And weirdly, that was enough. Because by then, I'd moved on. Not in the dramatic, revenge-scented way where you ride off into the sunset on a motorcycle wearing sunglasses and a trench coat. No. Just moved forward. I launched a consultancy for family businesses. Small ones. The kind built on sweat, duct tape, and trauma. I helped them structure things right, legally, financially, emotionally. I charged reasonable fees and occasionally gave out free advice when I sensed someone was about to repeat my exact mistakes. My first client? A mother and daughter who'd almost come to blows over an Etsy candle empire. I saved their business and got a lifetime discount on grapefruit lavender soy wax. Carl and I still talked weekly. He updated me on how Project Hollander Rehab was going. Nathan stepped down as CEO. The board brought in someone boring but competent. Carl said, You probably saved the whole thing by leaving it. I didn't say anything. But I did smile. Because maybe I didn't burn the bridge. Maybe I just stopped letting them walk over me. Mom and I texted sometimes. Polite. Light. Mostly memes and the occasional forwarded article about small business trends. Nothing deep. But it didn't hurt anymore. And the truth is, I didn't need their apology to move on. I needed myself. To believe I was worth boundaries. Worth being heard. Worth a seat at my own damn table. Now I work from the same apartment where I once opened that. You're out. Voicemail. Except now, the office has sunlight, music, and a French press. Bruno has a bed next to mine, spoiled, snoring, and living his best senior dog life. Sometimes I go down to the dock where Dad and I used to sit. I skip rocks. Let my phone die on purpose. And I think about how long I spent trying to earn what I already deserved. Here's the truth they never tell you about family. Sometimes the legacy isn't what you inherit. It's what you walk away from, and what you build instead.